Hello, and we are back with Learn and Grow Snappy Chat. I'm Christine Bell, and I'm super excited to be here every Tuesday or maybe Monday in the United States. It's always great to meet new people, get to understand more about different businesses and business owners and what we're all up to. Because guess what? I don't know about you, but I find business can be pretty lonely, but we all have many of the same challenges. And I'm super excited. I have Sabrina here today. I think I've known you for about a year on LinkedIn, etc., through different groups. But I'm so excited to finally catch up with you, and I'm super excited to be here with you because we just had an amazing conversation. So I think we'll continue that conversation live. Why not? And so I know a little bit about you. You obviously used to be in sales, but you are a hypnotherapist. You are a mentor as well. So in terms of that, and you also are into spiritualities. But tell us more about you, please.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you so much for inviting me. It's such a pleasure to be here. So just get that out of the way real quick. So I have been a hypnotherapist now for the past 5 years. And with that, I combine mindset, mentorship, and spirituality. So I really walk people through what it means to be spiritual, because I think everybody has a different view of that and what that really means to them. So I just give them my definition, and then I hear from them where they're at and in terms of how they see things. I'm a big believer that spirituality and business should be merged, because the belief systems that we carry, they go hand in hand in our everyday life personally, as well as it affecting our business. So I'll stop there for a minute and see if you have any questions on that so far, or if there's anything else you'd like me to elaborate on.
Well, I love what you do, and I just want to say hello to Royce. Royce Blake is here. He said, "Yay, Sabrina Johnson live!" It is so great to have you, Royce. I love having him on as well as a guest. He's amazing. Always learning from him. And if you follow his newsletter, they're always great fun too. So great to see you. Now, yes, I love what you do. I'm so interested in it as well, because I burned out 10 years ago and I didn't know I was burned out at all. I had no clue. And with that came a need or desire to kind of work out who I was and why I was feeling the way I was doing and what I wanted to do in business, because I literally quit my job and I'm like, I just can't work for someone else anymore. That's all I thought is I can't do it. Oh, we got Christopher here. Chris, hey, great to see you. I'm so happy you're here. Thank you. And I didn't know what to do. Like, I had no clue, and I got a coach, and that sort of took me down a route that I think what you are helping people with. And I can honestly say that is Janice is here too. Great to see you. Janice Depot. And I was like, what do I do? And it kind of led me on this journey of spirituality to, at some point, that started coming into my personal development journey. It was like, it wasn't two separate things. They went hand in hand, and it wasn't really what I was looking for per se, but I guess I was very open-minded to it. And so I love what you do. I guess not, people may ask exactly what does that mean, how does it work, etc. So I'm happy for you to share a little bit more about what does it actually look like to work with you as well. But also maybe maybe share that a little bit, and then we'll get into a challenge, because I think it's very interesting what you do. And I think a lot of people are like, what does that mean? What is she doing? How does this help me?
Yeah, absolutely. So with hypnotherapy, what I've started doing is I do work with clients individually if they're looking specifically for hypnotherapy to whether they're looking to resolve trauma or past trauma that they've had, or any kind of addictions that they've had, any habits that they're trying to eliminate, or they're just looking for growth and they need something that helps them to boost their confidence and learn a bit more about them and become self-aware. So there's many different ways that I'll work with them, but with hypnotherapy, we're rewiring their subconscious beliefs. We are setting them up so that, say they deep down believe that they're worthless because they grew up in a toxic environment that was heavily abusive, and this is the belief that they've carried their life, but they're tired of not having that confidence. We take them through and uncover, what were the big turning points in this belief that caused you to feel the way that you do today? And how can we make it so that you can move forward accepting that you are absolutely beautiful, you're unique in your own way, and that you could offer so much more than you think. So I really teach them how to use their experiences as growth tools moving forward, taking the lessons from them, and then, of course, re-experiencing trauma in a way that doesn't expose them to the emotions that they felt at the time. So it's all about establishing that safe space for them to open up and to be able to learn and share. I think that's the best way to put that. I'm getting a little
I
long.
love it. Yeah, no, I love that. And for anyone who hasn't done hypnotherapy, it really, I don't know if it works for everyone, but it certainly worked for me. So I got rid of a habit I had when I was younger, and literally I walked away from it, like literally changed. And it was like you said, it takes you up to a place where it actually allows you to see your unconscious beliefs and to understand them. And once you understand them, that's when, or you're aware, I think that's where you can start changing them. But
Yeah.
it's really important, like you said, what you're helping with is disconnecting that emotional charge that's often come with, that takes us into a spiral, right? Rather than
Yeah.
actually being able to go, hey, I'm learning and growing from this. This is not me. It's something that happened, and it made me believe these XYZ things about myself, which is not conducive to life or business. Yeah. Because a
Right.
low self-worth, which is something I've had to work with a lot, which is exactly my personal development journey, is, that doesn't work in business, because it's going to show up in business too, right? Like we are scared of
Exactly.
showing up, we are underselling ourselves, etc.,
Imposter
etc.
syndrome.
Exactly. And so that's so important. But wonderful. Now, I know that you were in sales before, so this is a big change. So tell me about the challenge that you faced in terms of moving into your own business, because it takes guts. Yeah, it takes a lot
Yeah.
of, like, a lot of belief in yourself and guts. Hey, well, we've got Moosey here as well. Great to see you. Also, you, Sabrina. It's a great honor and privilege to be here, and we're very happy to have you as well, Moosey. So thank you. But back to you, Sabrina.
Yeah. So what my biggest challenge was knowing how to put myself out there in a way that was truly authentic to me. Because when I was in sales, I wasn't sharing the hypnotherapist side of me. Nobody in my sales industry knew that I was quietly doing this in my own spare time outside of work. So I was seeing patients in my home and helping them at every spare moment that I had on lunch breaks just to squeeze it in. And so when I launched online, nobody knew me as the hypnotherapist, as the mindset mentor. So that it meant that I had to completely establish authority in the space and start from scratch. Whereas if I would have just put my full, complete self out there, even 5 years prior, then I would have been that much further ahead when I started my business online. So that was the
Yeah.
first challenge that I had.
Fair enough. And that's a big challenge too, because it also comes back to really believing in ourselves and having that belief to go, I am who I am. This is what I'm about. And I'm going to share it with the world and not worry about what other people think or feel about it, and to really own who you are. And it's so interesting that you felt that you needed to keep it quiet in your, when you were working in sales, that you didn't feel there was something, that you could just talk about. There must have been some energy in terms of you going, I can't really share this as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because everybody that knew me in sales knew me as the sales leader. I was the team lead. So I was the person that they looked up to in terms of, how to connect with people and get them to open up enough to find out what it was that they truly wanted or needed from the service or product that we offered. And so
Yeah.
having to switch and look at me as somebody that is now a mentor, which truly I don't believe is that far off, because we have to be empathetic to connect. And we have to learn all these
Yeah.
things about our client and hypnotherapy as well. Um, but they just could not, they just didn't have the same view as I did in that way. And then if you tie in the spirituality part of it, I was still learning about spirituality myself because I went through some massive changes, which is what really egged on my spiritual journey, because I went through so much drastic growth in a very, very short period of time that it was like I was one person one week and somebody completely different a week later. And so it just didn't make sense to people from what they're used to seeing. Uh-oh, did we
And fair
freeze?
enough, because most people like familiarity, and we like this. Say, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, the internet is just playing up as usual. Yay. But you're saying something really important here, because I think human beings, we tend to like the familiar. We tend to like status quo, right? Even if we're unhappy, we're kind of more, at least we know what we got, even if we're unhappy. But to step out, to truly be ourselves and to share who we are, whether people like it or not, requires a lot of self-belief. And it also requires us to be willing to be seen in a different way and to take risk.
Yes. And risk is something
Can you
that
hear me?
is scary.
It is
We
very
froze for a
scary.
second.
So with that in mind as well, I think, am I back? Yeah, I think the internet is like, oh my God. I always love the internet. One day I'm going to turn this into a podcast so we can record it rather than this live stuff, because live is hit and miss, right? Can you hear me now?
Yeah, it's perfect again.
Excellent. So I want to go back to this authenticity, because how do okay? Can you hear me? Hello,
Yep.
everyone. This is the joy of life.
I heard authenticity.
So back to authenticity, So what can we say around how do we become, you said you went through drastic change and stuff, but what was it that made you go, hold on, I'm okay to now show up authentically? And how do I, and then do it?
Yeah, that's a really great question. So when you go through a really rough time in your life and you're trying to figure out, where do I belong? What are my core beliefs? How do I even know who I am? It was very much a crisis of identity, and I need to now dig in and figure this out for myself. And so it was really digging deep to uncover what my social programming was and what my subconscious beliefs were, and how I could rewire those from myself so that I knew, I could get where I wanted or had the goal to get. So it's a lot of learning how to be self-aware and getting in touch with your emotions and being willing to take a risk of being uncomfortable in the different situations that you're now placed in, because you're opening up a whole new world. So you start to get comfortable with the uncomfortable, and anything that you are afraid of, you just suck it up and move forward, because you're looking at that piece of pie at the end.
Yeah, and I totally get that. I mean, I know that feeling too, because when you start a business, or when you're in your own business, you have to show up. Hey, Rob, it's great to see you. You have to show up yourself, because people buy into who you, well, especially when you're starting out, once you build a team, they might buy into your team, but even as the owner, it's still your values, it's still your energy in it. And I think being willing to show up is quite a learning curve, in terms of really putting yourself out there and going, this is who I am. I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but it's also what people respond to. Back to the sales thing, you said, well, sales is about understanding people and empathizing with them and getting to know them. But how can we truly do that? How can we connect with people if we're not showing up authentically, right? So in sales, if we are hiding ourselves and who we are, and I'm not saying you were or your colleagues were, but if we're hiding who we truly are, maybe we hate the job, but we're just doing it, we're not going to have that connection with people, which is what is usually required to build. Maybe you can do a short-term sale, but if you want to build a long-term relationship, it requires some level of connection, right? Which can only be done authentically, really.
No, exactly. And that is the exact reason why I ended up leaving sales, because I no longer loved what I was doing, and I didn't believe in what I was doing either. And so I wasn't willing to stay stuck in the familiar, and it just wasn't fulfilling for me. I knew that there was so much more that I was meant to do.
Yeah. And so with that in mind, you did mention the whole challenge around really showing up. So what did you do? Like what was your first going, okay, I've got to change my image and build an authority. I'm assuming LinkedIn, maybe other challenge, there's social media as well. But what did you do to suddenly go, okay, I'm coming out now, so to speak?
Yeah. So the first thing that I did is completely revamped my profile on LinkedIn. So I was like, okay, these are the traces of the old me. I'm going to update that. And that's where I started. And then I started posting and showing up consistently, talking about the things that I knew would make a difference in hypnotherapy. But it was all about, again, learning about how do I want to represent hypnotherapy. And the way that I first came out with it was educational, because people need to know first what it is and what it's about before I can show them that I know what I'm talking about. So it was all educational when I first came out. And then I slowly started opening up about my own experiences as I went.
And I love that because there's a little bit of a journey here as well when we show up suddenly and having to really show up, because it's not just about us being ourselves in our everyday life. It's also about building a business, right? Yeah. And I just want to say, Royce said, we may not know what's really holding us back. That's what we need pros like Sabrina for. Absolutely right. We don't always know. It's like subconscious or unconscious even. We just don't know, like, what's actually holding it back. What are all the things that are stopping us? But I love that you had worked it out to the level as in, I need to do something else. I know what I'm passionate about, and I got to show up now. And I completely understand the whole thing around, let's start with education. It feels a little bit more comfortable to some extent once people need to know it, but it's also a little bit more, let me show you concretely why this works, right? So establishing that. But it takes a whole nother level when suddenly, because there's this level, if people want to work with you, if you are the brand, which you are, and they're working with you specifically, then, hey, Lisa, great to see you. Then we've got to be able to connect with people. And that is something else that can be a little bit more uncomfortable on social media, in terms of really sharing our own personal stories, or sharing, more about what we believe in or what's important to us, etc. Right?
Oh, yeah, especially in business, because when you're putting yourself out in a vulnerable way like that, when it's not the typical business status quo, so to speak, you look at professionals on LinkedIn and you're going to see their doctorates and their education and the experience that they have professionally. But now I feel like it's changed a bit more. But when I first came out, that's all you saw. You didn't see or hear about their personal experiences, because you don't mix personal with business. And so it really took that vulnerability of, okay, I need to make sure that people know what I'm talking about based on the experience that I've lived, because there's so much that I went through that I was downplaying as a lesson for somebody else to learn. Because I think that's what we do. We go through a crisis, and in the moment it's a crisis, but when we get through it, oh, that wasn't so bad, because we're out. So we just don't take the lessons in the moment that I feel like we have the opportunity to take when we reflect on the things that we've gone through.
Yeah, I love that. And I also think with LinkedIn, you're absolutely right. I think they are sort of like, you look at it and it's not that the rules are written anywhere of what you can or shouldn't do or what you should do on LinkedIn, right? But you kind of look at everyone else and you're like, well, it seems like I shouldn't talk about personal stuff. It seems like I shouldn't share anything from my weekends. It seems like I should be all business, right? Yeah. And then that's well and good. But if you look through it, and I don't know how about you, but I look through a lot of great stuff, but it's like, a lot of the same, written by AI now, and it's the same, it's the same, and it's great, and it's business stuff. But where's the authenticity? Where's the personal edge on it? Where's the personal take on this? Yeah, and I must say, I'm gravitating more towards certain people in business as well, who are sharing their real story around building a scaled up business, etc. And they might actually share. Someone shared around how their completely cash flow is so hard when you are scaling quickly. Yeah. And it's like, that takes guts, but it also is more more real. So I connect more with it. Yeah. Rather than just another, no offense to anyone out there, another
Right.
AI written thing around why kindness is important. Yeah. And I'm not saying kindness isn't important, but it's like just the same. So it kind of, we can end up in the same, or we can be completely truthful, as in we may not share every little detail. Maybe they don't need every specific detail, but enough to actually be relevant to everyone else in a personal way.
Yes. Oh, I heavily agree on that. Because otherwise we're pretending in some way, shape, or form. If you're not just being true to who you are and those core beliefs that you follow in the responses that you even give when you're posting on certain things,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, then you're just not being you.
Yeah. And I want to see personality. So Royce is, I don't know if you follow him on LinkedIn,
He's
but
funny.
he's got so much personality, there's personality in there.
Yeah.
There's language in there, etc. And I love that. And not that that's not me, but I can see it's Royce. So I feel like it's Royce that I'm connecting with, right? Where there's some people where I'm like, yeah, it's great what you're saying, but it's the same, and it feels like AI, maybe it is, or it feels like you're just going with what is sort of like in, or what seems to be popular, yeah, rather than just going, what do I feel like talking about today, yeah. And I know people say you should have like everything mapped out for a month, but I'm more like, I write my post in the morning. I must admit, if suddenly I will have a thought about it for a long time. I had one on friendship the other day. I've actually thought about that for like 4 months. It's been on the back of my mind, but I never felt like writing it. And then the other day I suddenly went, yeah, that's what I feel like writing about.
Yeah.
So that's what I did.
That's perfect. It's kind of funny because I was looking at a LinkedIn post earlier that was talking about plans for January already, where everybody is getting ready to set their resolutions. And I'm like, I don't really resonate with resolutions anymore because I'm doing so much work on myself on a daily basis that I feel like I've achieved the growth that I would have set for a New Year's resolution. And so now I'm aiming much bigger than that, but I'm not planning it out that far.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's right, because who knows what's going to happen, and I have the vision of where I want to go. I have a dream of where that looks like in the future. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to get there. Maybe if I did, I would be better. Roy says, "Welcome to marketing." I know you're good at marketing, but we also like the personality, and I like a bit of personality, and so I can connect with people.
Yeah.
But I don't know either what's going to happen. How am I completely going to get there? Because what I have found, I don't know about you, I'm changing topic right now slightly. I think that things change so fast these days that we have to be more and more adaptable. Like what worked last year is not working for me anymore. And that goes both in the world, but also internally. I feel like everything is shifting. Like no
Yeah.
tomorrow is chaotic. And there's somewhere in there we have to find some kind of peace, or some kind of our own place of maybe anchoring down a little bit to know ourselves. But I feel like adaptation is like adapting, and with both with our internal change but also with the external change is important in life and business.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And I think it's going to be something that is heavily relied upon as we keep going further and further into the future because AI is bringing a lot of changes right now. And that's just in business and the way that we, formulate um, posts because everybody uses AI to double check their work now. And some just say, okay, I
Except
want
me,
this
I'm full of
content
spelling
posted
mistake.
for me. Well, there's the exception. And it's good not to heavily rely on AI because that's also, I feel, going to dense down our creativity. And
Yeah.
yeah, so being able to adapt, to go with the flow, that is something that spirituality has taught me. And that's something that I'm going to do because being free in that way feels so much better than being structured and uptight and stressed out.
Yeah. And I will be honest, I told you beforehand, I actually grew up as an atheist in Denmark. And I didn't really pay much attention to this spirituality, although I always knew that there was something more. I always knew because I had special experiences from a childhood age. But so I always knew there was more to it. I believed in there's more, but it wasn't really anything I was interested in per se. And then I had a burnout situation, and I had a coach And somewhere along the line, as I couldn't afford the coach anymore, I didn't want to spend that kind of money anymore because it was pretty expensive after a while. I started just looking around to see, and I started gravitating to more and more spirituality. And I use that as a loose term, but I must say that that is absolutely where I started moving towards. And it was kind of like the personal development journey kind of, I feel, takes you that way if you're open and willing to it in a good way.
Yeah, absolutely. See, all I think spirituality really is at its core, it's energy. We are all energy. The universe is energy. Everything around us is energy. So therefore, what we think is energy, how we act on that, it's energy. Everything is energy. So I think
Absolutely.
spirituality, yeah. So I think spirituality at its core, that's where it stems from. And it's just figuring out how to use your energy to get the human body that much further ahead.
And that comes back to what you said to me originally, is it's all about your belief systems. And I wholly agree. It's the same for marketing as well, isn't it, Royce? It's understanding people's belief system is so important because we all make decisions based on our belief systems. And most of the time we are unconscious or just not aware of our belief systems and how they actually are making us do things again and again. Because if we're stuck in one belief system, we will continue to do the same thing over and over again and go, why is life not changing?
Yeah.
And so we got to change, we got to understand our belief system, which which I know you help people with because hypnotherapy is great for it. So like understanding those beliefs are so important, right?
Oh, absolutely. And just outside of hypnotherapy, the first thing that I actually ask my clients to do before we do anything else is to write their life out like it's a series of chapters in a book. What did I learn from this age to this age, from this age to this age, and so on? Because when you can reflect on those impactful moments in your life that have helped to shape who you are today and those beliefs, well, then we can get that much further ahead and we can figure out, okay, so these are your core beliefs then. How is that playing out in your life, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. We'll finish up shortly, and I have a question for Musi, but I just want to touch briefly on what you're saying because I totally agree. And I like Joe. I mean, I like a lot of different spiritual teachers, but Dr. Joe Dispenza is one of them that I really enjoy. And I love what he says around, what does he say, is your thoughts, your feelings, and your actions directly creates your reality.
Yes.
And your thoughts and your feelings and your action comes from your belief systems, right?
Exactly. Yes, it does.
And so if you want to, you can create. When people say I can't create it, I can't do it, it's like, no, you have a belief you can't do it. And once you change that, you will change your thoughts, you will change your feelings, and you will change your behavior because of that. And that's when you're going to have the breakthroughs one at a time.
Yeah.
One question for you before we finish up from Musi. What is the best advice you have received from someone that have impacted your life for good?
Oh, that's a really great question. Wow, that's a tough one. 'Cause now I've really got to think back. I really think it was my mentor because I had a coach or a mentor before I even started my business. And
Yeah.
she was the one that really pushed me out of my comfort zone and challenged me to think differently. And one of those mentors, I'm going to say, is Michelle Smith. She's an amazing human being, but she has always had a way of asking me questions to get me to think about things in a completely different way. And I don't want to quote her because I know I'm going to get it wrong. But she basically, in a long way, said, what is in your way becomes the way out. And again, I'm not quoting her on that, but what was in my way and what I was doing to cause my issues was my way out, my way forward.
By actually having to address them rather than just stuffing them down like we do with things. Yeah, we go, okay, that happened, let's stuff it down. What you're saying is actually you have to look at it, you have to get it, and that will set you free.
Yes, Exactly. And I'm
Wonderful. I
sorry,
love that.
Michelle, for butchering your input, but
That's okay. I'm sure she's very proud of you and very happy with where you are now. I would be too. So thank you so much for being on. Before we leave, how can people reach out to you? I obviously they can find you on LinkedIn. Anything else, feel free to put it in the link afterwards as well in the comments. But how can you help people? How can they reach out? Anything coming up that you want to share?
yeah. So I'm excited about the new podcast that we have, and we're going to have some amazing guests upcoming. But that is Night Terrors and Other Tales podcast. So keep an eye on
Yeah.
that. That is on my YouTube channel through my spiritual community, which is the Soul Sync Collective. So I can help you whether you're looking to rewire your belief system, discover yourself by digging into self-awareness, or even your spirituality. Yeah, there's so many services. Just reach out.
I love that. And everyone is special. Everyone is unique. Everyone needs their own journey. Now, if you can afterwards put the link to your YouTube, put that in afterwards because I'll check it out as well because this sounds good to me too.
Yeah, absolutely. I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And thank you for everyone who is here today. We really appreciate you. And this was something I love this topic. So thank you so much for sharing today. I appreciate it, Sabrina.
Yes, likewise. Thank you for having me. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Bye, everyone.